Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed faculty, proud parents, family, friends, and most importantly, Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University's graduating class of 2025. Make some noise all in this place, y'all. Now, it's an honor to stand before you on this monumental day, a celebration not just of achievement, but of identity. Let us go back to the beginning. And God said, "Let there be light," and darkness had no choice but to flee. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the heavens separated from the waters." And God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together," and land rose up with purpose. And God said, "Let there bring forth grass," and from dirt beauty blossomed. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven, the sun ruled the day, and the moon danced with the stars by night." And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly, and the ocean swell with life." And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures," and animals ran, crawled, flew, and roared across the earth. Even Dory from Finding Nemo popped up and said, "Just keep swimming, swimming, swimming." Because when God creates, he creates with personality, purpose, and sometimes a Pixar plotline. And then creation paused, because the next declaration wasn't just another command. It was intimate. It was intentional. It was revolutionary. God just didn't speak life into existence. He formed it. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," in his image. After he had flung galaxies into space, painted the skies with auroras, and populated the earth with every living thing, he looked at his masterpiece and still said, "Let there be you." And he didn't just stop there, because in 1887, God looked at the future of black excellence, academic achievement, and generational impact and said, "Let there be FAMU." Can I get 2 claps and a strike? FAMU graduates, let me remind you, you are not a random collision of molecules. You are not a cosmic accident. You are not just a name on a degree. You are the intentional echo of a divine whisper. You were created in the image of the Creator. That means the same power that ordered chaos into the cosmos lives in you. The same imagination that designed the wings of a butterfly fuels your dreams. The same breath that gave life to Adam now fills your lungs. You are a divine idea wrapped in flesh. Do you understand me? You are a divine idea wrapped in flesh. You are stamped with God's likeness, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. So when you walk into the boardrooms and studios and hospitals and classrooms and courtrooms or creative spaces, remember, you don't just bring talent, you bring divine DNA. Let me break that down for you. The acronym for DNA, by my definitions, stands for Divine Nature Activated. That means the Creator of the universe didn't just give you breath, he encoded you with brilliance. Everything you need to thrive, to build, to transform the world around you is already in your system. You were designed to activate it, not hide it. You don't just carry cells and chromosomes, you carry DNA, divine nature activated. And today, I challenge you to activate it. Not someday, not when it's convenient, not when it's safe, not when it's easy, but now. In a job market that's unpredictable and an economy still finding its balance, look for a job. But if you can't find one, build something, start something, innovate, launch the business, write the script, code the app, start the nonprofit. Let entrepreneurship be your guide. Let creativity be your currency. Listen, you don't just have potential, you have permission. Do you understand me? You have permission to take what God placed inside of you and leave the world better than you found it. Now, before I ever stood on stage or hosted a podcast, I was just an 18-year-old young kid about to graduate, not from college, but from high school. And I had a 2-week-old daughter in my arms. I was scared out of my mind. College? Oh, that was just a dream. But reality had other plans. I made the decision to enter the workforce so I could be a constant presence in my daughter's life. I wanted her to know her father not by name, but by presence. And let me tell you, it felt like every job I got fired, y'all. I worked for a company called ATC, fired. Bank One, fired. How many older people know what Bank One is? Heck, they didn't just fire me, they fired themselves because they don't even exist anymore. They became Chase Bank. I worked for Edward Blank and Associates, fired. Taco Bell, fired. You get fired from Taco Bell, you know you're doing something wrong, don't you? The Dallas Morning News, say it with me, fired. But with every no, I was learning something. I learned how to bounce back. I learned that failure doesn't have the final say. I learned that God was not firing me, He was repositioning me. And I came to understand something in that moment. I understood what Napoleon Hill once said: every adversity, every failure, every heartbreak carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. So when I look at you today, I admire you because I know how hard the road to graduation can be. And while our stories may be different, I see in you the same thing I eventually saw in myself, and that's purpose. During the pandemic, my video production company, Whitfield Films, came to a screeching halt. Everything I had built went still. No clients, no shoots, or like you young people like to say, no motion. I had to tap into my DNA, my divine nature activated. And I had to get creative, resourceful, and productive. I looked around and realized I was sitting on thousands of dollars worth of equipment that was just going to collect dust. So I made a decision. I chose to heal publicly. In a time of global uncertainty, I searched for certainty within. And what I found was this: I needed emotional and relational healing. I didn't just want to carry brokenness into another relationship. I wanted to become a better partner. So I started the Dear Future Wifey podcast. That decision changed everything. Because do you realize that outside of salvation, the greatest decision you'll ever make is who you decide to marry? How many of y'all can testify about that? Somebody said that part. You see, the wrong marriage can derail you from your destiny. How many of y'all been in some bad situationships through these last 4 years of college? All right, it's testimony time. I don't need you to raise your hand right now. But the right relationship, the right one, can launch you into your purpose. Relationships are difficult, but they can be so rewarding. And if you keep finding yourself in bad relationships, the common denominator is you. Either you got a bad picker or you the bad one being picked. But you gotta let healing find you before love does, and let love multiply everything you become. I'm gonna repeat that. Let healing find you before love does, and then let love multiply everything you've become. God doesn't create without purpose, and you weren't born without one. FAMU has watered your intellect, pruned your passions, and exposed your gifts to sunlight. But the seed, you see, the seed was always there. You've been assigned to this generation. There are problems that only you can solve, systems that only you can change, wounds that only you can heal. You may have majored in business, science, agriculture, engineering, or the arts, but your true major is impact. Your calling isn't just to make a living, it's to make a difference. You were never created to blend in. You were made in the image of God who stands alone, so stand boldly. Stand uniquely. Stand knowing that heaven has already endorsed you. And let me say, I've spent the last few years not earning a degree of my own, not from a university, but from life. From heartbreak, healing, restoration, and faith, I documented it all in a book called Student of Love that'll be released soon. Because no matter how many platforms we build or titles we gain, the greatest lesson we'll ever learn is how to love and be loved well. In class, love is still incessant. So let me be clear. Greatness doesn't come without resistance. You will face detours. You will face delays. You will face doubt. And when life gets loud, remember your origin. Remember that God created you last because he saved the best for last. You are not weak. You are not fragile. You descend from the same creative spirit that held the universe together. And if God can speak stars into being, he can speak peace over your anxiety. If he can separate night from day, he can separate you from depression. If he can bring light out of nothing, he can bring purpose out of pain. You don't just have the image of God, you are the reflection of his strength. So when it gets hard, remind yourself, I'm still here because God said, let there be me. In Luke chapter 7, Jesus heals 10 lepers. 10 men, once outcast and isolated, are restored with just one encounter. But only one comes back. One returns to say thank you. And Jesus asks, where's the 10? Where are the other 9? The verse struck me one day, not just as a believer, but as a man who's been healed, helped, and held together by grace. Because I remember what it felt like when God used people, strangers, mentors, teachers, friends to lift me out of broken places. I remember when someone opened a door I didn't even know existed. And I promised myself I will be the one who comes back to say thank you. Class of 2025, FAMU has shaped you, challenged you, believed in you. To my understanding, there are 513 graduates. Don't be the 512 who disappear. Be the one who returns. And how do you come back? You come back and mentor a student, walk in the path you once walked. You come back and recruit rising stars into the company that I prophesied that you're going to build. You come back and donate your time, your resources, and your story. You come back to speak, to teach, to lift as you climb. You come back and fund a scholarship because someone's purpose is waiting on your generosity. You come back to cheer, to celebrate, to pour into the next generation. You come back to simply say thank you. Because when you return with gratitude, you don't just honor FAMU, you activate legacy. Now, can I be extremely transparent with you? When I received the invitation to speak at today's commencement, I was excited on one hand, then immediately I was hit with the feeling of unworthiness. How many of you have heard of imposter syndrome? Have you heard what imposter syndrome is? Imposter syndrome is a persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. Can I keep it a buck with you? Talk back to me. Can I keep it a buck with you? Though I've achieved great influence, created the #1 relationship podcast in the Black community, though I have a combined social media following of 1.5 million, get booked across the world to speak and host events, the little boy in me, the little 18-year-old who prioritized being a dad over a degree, was struck with imposter syndrome when FAMU invited me to speak. My mind began to fill up with doubt. Laterras, you haven't spent a day in college. Does FAMU know that? Why would they want you? FAMU is going to change their mind and rescind the invitation. Pure craziness, right? How many of you have been there before? Disqualifying yourself from what God has already qualified you for. To make matters worse, when FAMU announced me as a commencement speaker on Instagram, I said, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I read a negative comment under the post about choosing me. Now, I was already battling imposter syndrome, and now I got to deal with this negative comment. I responded. I kept it professional. Amen. Amen. Then I saw a supportive comment from Brianna Alicia, who says she's been watching my podcast for years and is happy that I'm speaking at her graduation. Thank you, Brianna. Are you here? Wherever you are, there you go, Brianna. Thank you so much because you blessed me and you didn't know how much I needed to read that. And then I got on the phone with my woman, who's now my fiance. I popped the question about 2 weeks ago. Can we make some noise? That's why I said you got to choose wisely, because I read the negative comment to her. And you know what she said? She said, FAMU wanted you to speak because they wanted you. Then she said something that anchored me. She said, God said it, that settles it. Class of 2025, I don't care what insecurities you are wrestling with, this moment was waiting for you. God said it, that settles it. Some of you are the first to graduate in your family. God said it, that settles it. Some people may question how you became the leader of your organization. God said it, that settles it. settles it. Financial aid looked real suspect some semesters. Some of you went home on winter break and was broke, had no idea how you were going to come up with spring tuition, but God said it, that settles it. So you want to know the mindset I had when I came on this campus this evening. I said, this is my graduation day. I told the little boy in me to take a seat in the audience and watch me graduate. Watch me graduate from imposter syndrome. Watch me graduate from self-doubt. Watch me graduate from feeling unworthy to stand before you brilliant minds. I walked into the robing ceremony, held my head up high as I was robed, knowing the DNA of God is in me because I'm supposed to be on this stage. Let me say this to you, FAMU. I'm trying not to preach right now. God, listen, FAMU didn't pay me to speak. I came because some opportunities aren't monetary, they're monumental. Class of 2025, I want to talk to your generation. I want you to be mindful not to make everything about money. Understand servitude. There's no honorarium FAMU could have given me to compensate for what this moment means, because this wasn't about being paid. This was about being positioned. I didn't come here for payment. I came to honor the God who opened the door, because the greatest way to honor God is to show up where he placed you. Even when there's no paycheck attached. This was about impact, not income. It's about legacy, not luxury. And this was legacy. Thank you, FAMU, for inviting me to be here today. FAMU, class of 2025, you are more than a tassel turner. You are more than a graduate. You are a light bearer. You are a mountain mover. You are a generational curse breaker. You are a world changer. You are born for such a time as this, when the world says you're too young, too black, too female, too male, too radical, too poor, too much. Lift your head and declare, I am created in the image of God. When doubt creeps in and doors seem shut and storms rise, say, I was created by the same God who made the storm. And when the world tells you you're not enough, tell them the creator of the universe disagrees, because after he said, let there be light, after he said, let there be land, after he said, let there be birds and beasts, he paused. And after all that, after light, land, lions and tigers and bears, oh my, he looked at creation and said, wait a minute, I'm still missing my showstopper. So he turned to eternity and said, let there be you. Now, before I take my seat, I want to hear from you. When I say created, you say for purpose. Created. Created. When I say let there be, you say me. Let there be. Let there be. Now say it like you believe the future is listening. Let there be. Congratulations, class of 2025. Make some noise all over this place.